Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Jake from Machinima.com, aka the Ultra Gamer. You might be saying to yourself, why is this guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt? Well, first of all, I like button-up shirts, anime shirts, because they help me feel more comfortable about my body. See, in the folds of the fabric, a little bit of detail gets lost. What detail's that? This detail. Anyway.
I love Jake from Machinima. 78 on Twitch says, is that the guy behind 9/11 and assassinated Kennedy? Pretty sure that's him. My game should be showing up any second here. So, how's it going, everybody? Johnny 5K on DLive says that Xurious released a new song today. Now, Xurious, I use one of his songs as my intro song, right? During my countdown. So, definitely check him out. He's got a Twitter, right? He's on Telegram. I think BitChute, Odyssey. Definitely check out Xurious. If he's got a new song today, I'm sure it's good. All his songs are good. All right. Mr. Gladius says, my eyes. Oh, his Hawaiian shirt wasn't that bad. Oh, man. Well, about time for some Deep Rock Galactic. Playing a little bit today. And we'll be talking about a few things. Want to talk a little bit about fertilizer prices. Maybe you've heard about fertilizer prices. Maybe you've heard about how the current war could affect fertilizer prices. Is this the point where you should be hoarding food? That's the question I want to get at. Like, it's like, if things are gonna happen, what might that thing look like, and what should you do, if anything? Should you do anything, right?
Deep dive selected.
But while I'm doing that, I'll also do a deep dive. Let me grab the beer. Red Rock Blaster. There you go. Red Rock Blaster. This one gives you more health.
To rock and stone.
There you go. 78 Tony says, thank you so much for another live stream that supports BLM and our queens. Yes, of course. Of course. Let me bring up the fertilizer. Let's just bring up a couple of the fertilizer things, though, now. So we can get the conversation rolling. There we go. This was just a little bit ago. 22nd of March. CNBC. Fertilizer prices are at record highs. Here's what that means for the global economy. Where did they say? They said that... Wasn't it something like 30%? Okay, yeah. Prices for raw materials that constitute the fertilizer market: ammonia, nitrogen, nitrates, phosphate, potash, and sulfates. You hear potash tossed around a lot. Potash is what we use for potassium, right? So, like, when I think of fertilizer, the stuff you buy at the home and garden store, you know, you're going to see NPK on the label. N is nitrogen, P is phosphorus, and K is potassium. So they're saying these materials have gone up in price 30% since the turn of the year. So 30% in the last 3 months. Here at the beginning of this year, we were looking at potash prices that were substantially above the 5-year average. You know, 5-year average here around $410 or so, and we're at close to $810 at the beginning of the year. Part of that is because exporters like China were not exporting much. And, you know, you got a lot of people like AgWeb predicting how or why things could get much worse. Farmers facing anhydrous ammonia prices at $1,500 per ton. I mean, things are going to get, for a while, for sure, more expensive at the grocery store, for everyone. Now, Johnny 5K says, food prices are going up, but if people don't start hoarding things, should be okay. I mean, like, people are gonna hoard to the degree that they hoard. The question is, what should you and your family do? That's what I want to think about. What should you do? Mr. Gladius says, did they started a war just making the prices higher? I mean, so the prices have been going up for various reasons for a while now. COVID-19 lockdowns and whatnot affecting prices. I think they've had some problems in China with blackouts and the actual production of some of this stuff. I know that I think China just recently lifted some sort of restriction on fertilizer exports out of the country. Like, part of the reason prices have been going up for so long is because we're sort of behind schedule for what we would normally have now, right? Like, China stopped exporting, I think, potash or something last year, right? And I think they only just started again, or maybe it's not a stop and start sort of situation, but it's some sort of restriction, some reduced capacity. But I mean, I think prices will go up. I mean, here's the thing. If prices for fertilizer double or triple, that doesn't mean a doubling or triple for the price of food, because there's more inputs than just fertilizer.
Great work.
Oh no. Get out of here, you guys. But, you know, things could definitely get more expensive. And I think that they will. They've gotten more expensive already. And they're gonna continue to get more expensive for a while, right? Question is, what should you and your family do, you know? And given what I'm seeing... I'd like to hear what you guys think, if you guys have thought about this. I know if you follow Battle Beagle on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen him talk about... He's brought up fertilizer stuff to watch on and off for many months now. And obviously, you know, we've had some price problems. Alright, let's see here. So this is a Morkite one, huh? Get out of here. Look at that. That grabber nearly grabbed me. This is a big room. Oh, okay, that grabber did grab me. Ando says he doesn't think about it much. Yeah, well, and, you know, for a lot of us, we have the luxury to not think about it much, right? That being said, things of this nature have ways to affect you even if you think they won't, because they're going to affect the world, right? Johnny 5K says he's hoping people hoard toilet paper instead of food. Well, you know, maybe a little bit of both. Oh, there's the other thing I need to get. Throw a grenade at that. Look at that. Bam. Easy. But, you know... I'll just kind of tell you what I'm thinking. I think prices... Like, there is, you know, that 5% or that 2% chance where I see prices going... of food going real crazy, right? I don't think it's super likely. But, you know, that small chance does exist, although unlikely. So I don't think most of us are going to be worried, but, you know, it's probably worth it for most of you, most of us, over the next few months to think about stocking up. You know, it's like, if there's something you like, especially something shelf stable that lasts. Oh my goodness. Got one of the things here. Bosco, save me, you goofball. Jeez. Uh-oh. Oh. Spitballer too? Jeez. Get rid of him. Crazy. But, you know, from what I see, I don't anticipate the price is going absolutely insane. Mr. Gladius says you started cultivating? Haresh says, I've been hearing about these agriculture and fertilizer issues from Peter Zyhan. Same dude has been predicting a Russian war in Eastern Europe for a decade now. Johnny 5K says, our ministers say food prices could double. I mean, that's possible, you know. Food prices in the West, you know, people aren't gonna like, some people really won't like me or anyone saying that, like, a doubling in food price is not that big a deal, right? But it's kind of not. Food is extremely cheap in the West, especially if you're preparing it yourself. You can go to, what is it? You can go to Walmart and get it's like a 25-pound bag of flour for $7. 25-pound bag of flour has like 41,000 calories in it. I mean, that's like, it's really cheap. Even if prices go way up, it's sort of like, well, if, you know, maybe if you put away the kale salads and the, you know, the restaurant dining, probably pretty manageable for nearly everybody. Life After Death says you should keep it rotated and make sure it's the stuff you will eat. Exactly. So keep Life After Death's talking about the pantry, you know, getting the pantry full. And I think that's probably what I see as probably some of the best advice, the stuff we should be doing, you know, you, me. If your family eats canned tuna, and in the next 2 or 3 weeks, your favorite brand or the generic brand of tuna goes on sale, you should probably buy, like, I don't know, 40 cans. Because it's only going to get more expensive over the next year, most likely. And you should look at, you know, filling up that pantry and keeping it full. That's probably all you need to do. I mean, if prices double, could you, like, buy a pallet of canned tuna and, like, undercut the grocery store? Yeah, I guess, but even a pallet of tuna, like, you're gonna have to do a lot of tuna peddling to make, like, $100. Like, it's probably not gonna be worth it. You know, maybe in that nightmare scenario and things continue to get worse rather than better, you know, and tuna price, and, you know, price of food goes up 10 times. Okay, you know, definitely. If you bought that pallet of tuna, you're in a good spot. But again, I think for the most part, you know, do you really want to peddle tuna out of your garage or a storage unit full of tuna to try and make a couple $100? I mean, you better have a pretty good rate on that storage unit, or otherwise the storage costs will actually just eat up all your profit, regardless of how much, you know, tuna's gone up. And tuna is a placeholder for whatever, right? You don't have to buy tuna. It's just an example. You could get oats, right? Rolled oats or steel cut oats, big things of them, blah blah blah. But powdered milk, evaporated milk. If you want to know what the difference is between powdered and sweetened, evaporated milk and sweetened condensed milk, Evaporated milk doesn't have any sugar in it. Added. Otherwise, they're the same product.
Sorry, little bug.
Let's
You're
see
all
here.
fault for being full of
Gosh,
goodies.
this is a crazy
It's
cave,
too
huh?
steep. Zip line done.
Johnny 5K says people should stop buying games and tech. Well, that's certainly an option. You know, don't spend your money on frivolous things if you think hard times are about to come, right? Maybe you don't go to the movies anymore.
Inventory is full.
Something to think about. I mean, I just wouldn't get super... what's this? Una? I'm calling you Una. Una says, Americans will have a normal BMI and they'll be happy.
Like this.
I don't think food will get that scarce, honestly. I think many of us will be able to maintain a perfectly excessive BMI. The point I wanted to get to as well, so like probably what all of us should be thinking about doing is keeping that pantry full, you know. If something goes on sale that you and your family likes, you know, this is a great time to stock up. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, let's get this out here. The thing that I'm worried about, that I'm really worried about, is if fertilizer prices are high, when the price of something goes up, the first people who stop buying it are the people who could afford it the least, right? Ooh. So what I'm anticipating is not, oh, in any town USA you can't buy food. You can buy plenty of food, and it's probably not going to be that bad a price. But if there's videos and photos of all these starving African children, this is going to be the potential media campaign and motivation for potentially millions of additional immigrants into the West, right?
Objective completed.
We could see this sort of hardship on a global level, which mostly probably won't affect us too bad. We could see it be the impetus for mass immigration, more mass immigration into the United States, into UK, Germany, Sweden, and, you know, you're gonna have to be ready for that. I mean, everything you see in terms of white flight, everything you're seeing in terms of the violence that's come out, the grenade attacks in Sweden with all their immigrants. I mean, things could... I feel like a fertilizer problem and food scarcity increasing in the world is going to be not so much like going to cause famine in your home country, but is going to accelerate white erasure in your country, right?
Go! Get to one!
Things could get... It'll make this decade a lot more brutal. And if you live in an area, or you've been in areas where things have already gotten very diverse, you already know, you know, I mean, you already might know where white women can't go out at night, right?
I'm wondering if fighting thugs and moving dirt is the best way to make a living.
Karush says, go to the movies. What movies aren't oozed these days? I haven't been to the theaters in years now. I do live in Japan, though. Yeah, I mean, the movies are terrible. Life After Death says, ever played The Council? No, I don't even think I've heard of it. I need more Morkite before I continue this mission. I think I could go this way. Victorian Time Traveler says absolutely everything is used by anti-whites as an excuse for white erasure. Well, exactly. It's just that this might be particularly good at convincing vagues that, like, we have it good and, like, they should be flooding into our countries to help them, right? Like, I feel like this media campaign that you see based around world hunger could very much accelerate white erasure because it could increase people's general compliance and decrease their skepticism of the policies, right? They'll feel like these are better and more just or whatever. How much do I have? I might have enough Markite if there's a fraction involved. Fraction, please? No, no fraction involved. I need 1. Okay. Oh. There we go. Oh, no ammo. What the heck? Thought I still had some. Did I get some? There we go. Alright. Can continue the mission. Mr. Gladdy says, why do you call it erasure? Well, you have multiple types of erasure, right? And, it's important to make people recognize all those types and to understand how they are tied together, right? So, like, you can have white erasure in terms of taking white characters and making them non-white to make it better, right? The idea that white characters in film and television shows are bad and need to all be replaced, or whites need to be the villains in all of the media and be removed as heroes, right? And this is not the same phenomena, but is fundamentally tied to biological white erasure, right? The erasure of white people from white countries. And if you can use the same term for both, people might be able to understand how those things are connected, because they're motivated by the same stuff, right? When you create a linguistic connection, you can create a conceptual connection for people. Una says, at the pond, don't feed the ducks. You know, you don't feed wild animals at the zoo, or you don't feed wild animals because they become reliant. Exactly.
Uplink ready. Triangulation initiated. Do not leave the triangulation zone, or we will lose the connection.
Mr. Gladius says, we have arrived at a point where our people will obey every order. They can invent every lie and they'll gobble it up. Well, at the end of the day, our people are very concerned with making sure we're doing the right thing, right? We're a very moral people. Just look at Twitter, right? Look at Black Twitter. Look at Black Twitter argue with each other about what's good for black people. Because white Twitter doesn't argue about that, right? Like, white sort of liberal Twitter, like mainstream vague Twitter, does not argue about, like, well, which policy is good for the white man, right? They argue that between the different sides, they say, well, you're gonna be on the wrong side of history. Our descendants will judge you harshly because you'll be on the wrong side. It's about who has the moral position, right? So we have to understand that politics, particularly politics within the white community, is a moral argument. It is about who is the more moral side.
Completed. Remote control reestablished. Stand by. Sending in fresh fuel cells for the drop.
Whoa. This thing.
I put some shells in the shell back.
All right. Oh, gonna be right there, huh? I'll grab 2 resupplies.
Ammo taken.
Mr. Gladius says you could say ethnic replacement. Well, it's got to be about us, right? I don't want a generic term. Us. White erasure. You could say white replacement, but not ethnic, you know. We need to be explicit about who's being targeted here, you know. It's not like we're all suffering equally here. It's not like we're all being targeted equally here.
Fuel cells connected to drop pod. Prepare the fuel cells for charge sequence.
Life After Death says academic agent made a list of who is a dissident. Interesting. I didn't see that. Mr. Gladius says normies shut down every time you talk about race. Or those normies who do. Well, at the end of the day, it's like they're convinced that they're doing the morally righteous thing, right? I mean, it really is all about morals and ethics with white people, right? You can't get elected by white people by saying, hey, white people, I'll get you good jobs, right? Because that's never good enough for white people. Like, white people don't just want good things for themselves. They have to be convinced that they're voting for the right guy, the good guy, you know. The only time that maybe whites will really resort to just full-on self-interest is when, theoretically, if things got, like, ridiculously bad. Like, if their children were actually starving, and someone came around promising them a job that they could, you know, afford to feed their family of, they might just be like, alright, who's doing the good thing for white people? But to a large degree, like, that's not good enough. They don't want what's good for us, they want what's good for everyone. They want is, like, moral, righteous, you know. Yeah, you can think of our world as highly secular, but at the end of the day, you know, it's still a world of sinner and saints to, like, basically everyone, right? The white population, whether they're atheist, Christian, whatever, they've still got you pegged as a sinner or a saint. And that's what they're going to fundamentally care about, and that's what they do care about.
Fuel cells fully charged. Drop pod engine.
There we go.
Hold your ground. We're almost ready to pull you and
Shall I
the fuel cells out.
resupply before going to the pod? Probably. I could chill out, maybe do a couple resupplies.
Pod reaction.
Make sure that I end this mission on full ammo and everything. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Onboard mainframe booting.
Mr. Gladius says, I always laugh when I hear about the right side of history. Because at the end, the right side is the victor side, right? Well, and what Gladius is talking about there is the idea that the winners write the history, right? To a large degree, if you were to look at the history books, and you were to sort of judge based off of what everyone tells you is the right side or whatever, you would have to agree on some level that just based on the history books, oh, well, I guess the good guys really do win most of the time, or nearly all of the time, right?
I'm taking some of the ammo.
At the end of the day, there's war crimes in every war, and the losers of a war get their war crimes very much documented in ways the winners of the war don't, right? I mean, we can all at least recognize that.
Drop pod powered up and ready to leave. It's time to bring it all home. Get on board. We're leaving with or without
Victorian Time Traveler says race denialism is the most destructive anti-white meme pathogen. I mean, it's certainly up there. I don't know if I know which ones are the worst. 78 Tony says, what do you think about Eastern Europeans? I mean, so Eastern Europe is a geographical region insofar as there's white people there. I care about them. Insofar as there's non-whites there, I hope, you know, I still care about them, but They're maybe not my ethnic kin in the same way. North says the biggest division is still class. The World Economic Forum is made up of every race and culture, just the super rich ones, and they all look down on us. Well, I'd say it tends to be more certain groups than others. And I mean, like, just because you have every group represented doesn't mean it's not, like, a racial aspect to it. I mean, like, you can have a BLM march. You've seen that clip where they're like, who do we protect? Black criminals, you know. You've seen that clip, I'm sure. It's out of Seattle. There's every race in that, but that's still a racial matter, fundamentally, right? The elites... Jeez, look at all these... Ooh. The elites are sort of a problem right now, right? They have rejected everything good to a large degree. One of the things I've talked about recently is the notion of loyalty, right? You get loyalty either from who you are or what you've done, right? So you're either loyal because you have kin, right? There's the blood loyalty, and then there's the deed loyalty, the loyalty based off of what you do. And the elites, to a large degree, have completely rejected the idea of loyalty. Now, this may have something to do with, you know, power structures awarding, like, hyper-selfish, narcissistic, like, psychopaths. Psychopaths just have ways to enable their own success in ways that other people don't. I mean, you could just look at someone like Bill Gates. I mean, Bill Gates made his billions mostly by creating these large customer bases in the United States and Europe, right? Particularly the United States. So when he goes to donate his money to whatever, right? Does he go to the United States and Europe, you know, and give it to his ethnic kin? Does he give it to the United States, Europe, for the deed, the people who supported him, right? Like, their children are being raised in those countries, and he could support the people who made him a billionaire. Well, no, he's going to do it in Africa, right? Because there's zero loyalty, right? Like, Bill Gates, there's no concept of loyalty with someone like Bill Gates. None at all. Not by blood, not by deed. When you look at the West in general, right? There's no loyalty shown to the founding stock of people based off of blood, but there's also not based off of deed. I showed that one picture of the German coal miner. Oh, God. The German coal miner waiting for a shower. I mean, like, you can look at the West Virginian coal miners, you know, soaking in, or, you know, breathing in coal smoke and dying to make this country what it is. And now the elites will look at them and their children in the Appalachian regions, and they'll say, well, they're hillbilly hicks, white trash, and they're disgusted by the West Virginians, and they'll say, like, see, what we need is this high IQ Indian Brahmin to come in and be a programmer. I forgot this is Cave Leech Cluster. So there's not loyalty in the elite, in the sort of the philosophy of the elite. There used to be, I mean, you can see in, like, elite colleges, there's, like, the concept of a legacy admissions. And they're getting rid of that. They're getting rid of legacy admissions. They're getting rid of those white dude walls. Okay, let's bring it up. White dude wall. NPR. Academic Science rethinks the all too white dude walls of honor. The portraits hanging on the wall inside this amphitheater at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston were men, nearly all white. The portraits have since been removed, right? So here's the people who came before you. Here's the people who set up the world you live in. There's no loyalty. There's no loyalty in any sense. They've completely dropped the idea of loyalty within the elite. The elite could once again hold value in loyalty. They did on some level before, not fully. You think of who, like, you can criticize him or whatever. Who's that one guy? Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie? I mean, he made his billions, and when it came to his philanthropy, when he, you know, built, like, thousands and thousands of libraries all across the United States, you know, I think he built, like, I'm not sure how many McDonald's are in the United States, but I know, like, for most of my life, the number of libraries that he built in the United States outnumbered McDonald's. Something like that. Crazy. You know, there was some amount of loyalty to the wealthy elite. There was some concept. They maybe didn't always show it to the right groups. They maybe were misguided at times. But at least that thought existed, right? The idea existed, and now it's like completely gone.
Help me with the minerals here.
There's no concept of loyalty, whatever. Johnny 5K says, looks like Ukraine has a lot of foreigners and they're seeking asylum from Europe. Yeah, I mean, this should be a teaching moment for us too. You know, it's like, when you accept in all these foreigners, you got to keep in mind, they're not going to have loyalty to you either, right? Like, when Ukraine, like, you know, people in Ukraine, they're like, oh, well, we got to take in all these Africans. We got to take in all these outside ethnies. We got to take in these other groups. Can't be racist. You know, they're going to make our country better. They're going to do this and do that, and they'll be Ukrainian just like us. Okay, the war starts. And now suddenly, they're all gone, you know? Black, non-Ukrainian men line up at the border to leave the moment anything bad happens. I mean, can you build a truly stable nation on that long term when the moment anything bad happens, all those doctors and engineers you had imported in just evaporate? I guess they're really not a good replacement for your ethnies men who would defend your land, right? These multiracial, multicultural countries in the long term stand to lose brutally to countries like China, who are not willing to engage that level of fantasy, right? Oh, let's see here.
Deep Rock seriously need to invest in some.
Let's see here. Let me read the chat here.
We got a hell of a blip heading your way, team. Get ready.
Yuna says, entertain me a little. What do you think of Eric Zemmour? He is the most radical, even surpassing Le Pen, but is still a member of the tribe.
It's a big one, team.
Elections are this month. Well, you know, I think I said on Twitter once he gave some very some speeches that got a lot of media coverage. Something to the effect of, if, like, is he necessarily the best person to deliver the message that he is? Maybe not. But if his message is able to resonate and get support And, like, there's a lot of good in his message somewhere, right? We should be paying attention to. If he can get his message into the hearts and minds of the people, we should pay attention to the method he uses, the way he chooses his words. Obviously, it's in a different language. It might not all be fully applicable all the time, but we need to be watching him. Because if he can succeed with that sort of message, we need to think about why he was able to do it so we can do just as well, if not better, right? And if he can't do it, if he's sabotaged, if things happen, we need to know to be ready for that, right? So I hope our most intelligent guys are paying close attention to what's happening in France, because it could be somewhat of a bellwether, or, you know, thin edge of the wedge, as I think the Brits say. Oh my god. I need to start looking up, and I think I see one behind me there too. Up, 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 up. There we go.
Go fetch. Come here.
Mr. Gladius says that he has no trust in electronic voting. No, wait. I have no trust in voting in general. Right. I mean, it's rough. Mr. Gladius says, what's Dominion? Dominion is the company that worked on our election machines in the United States. Victorian Time Traveler says, I would vote for him. I believe you're talking about Zemmour. Where are these eggs exactly? Oh, are they in a cave or something? Okay. Jump down here, maybe? Here's one of them, right? And the other one's kind of below it.
Molly, over here.
Do I want to call a thing? What I might do is double egg. So when you get an egg, you always get a small wave. Sometimes it's a big wave, right? That's how it works on this thing. And there's 6 eggs. Oh, I gotta do the black box too. Probably don't need a double egg then. Go get that egg then. I'm going to try and do this without resupplying and do the resupply at the black box. Yeah. Okay. Let's dig into the tunnel with the... Uh-oh. Get out of here. Okay. I'm gonna tell Bosco to mine this egg. Here.
Bosco, mine it.
I'm gonna run down to the black box, because I think that one's gonna cause a big wave.
Where is that damn tin can?
Oh, gosh.
Swarm detected.
Yeah, see?
Get ready. They'll be
Big
with you
wave.
shortly.
Resupply ordered.
Here we go.
Supplies are on the way.
Johnny 5K says, I have heard Le Pen is too normie nowadays, but I have no better knowledge about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much faith in the politicians generally. But if there's a good politician out there, and by good I mean supports our cause, right? I'm willing to tolerate all sorts of nonsense about their past or whatever, if I have to. But supports our cause, good enough. Yeah, but I wouldn't expect Le Pen to do it. Mr. Gladius says, Zemmour is too convenient to be true. Yuna says Zamora is not a politician, has been crapping on decades and politicians alike for decades, usually on our side, so to speak. I don't trust anyone either. It's just a desperate move. Yeah, I mean, if he can be the guy, we can let him be the guy. I just don't, like... Let's say he gets in. Is he gonna do the kind of stuff he said he would? Even if he does get in. You know, I'll believe it when I see it. Ooh, did you hear that? That's that vampire perk. Giving me lots of health. Out of ammo on that. Less than 1 reload on this. And here are my respawns. I'm out of grenades. I could just take 2 right now because I won't be wasting anything. Mr. Gladius says French Trump. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, Trump crapped on politicians and celebrities for decades. His Twitter was a goldmine for that. How's Zimmer's Twitter? Probably nothing good as Trump's. We need to... If I had my way... Listen, you might not like Trump. And I'm not a huge Trump guy. But his Twitter history is a national treasure. And when Twitter took him off and reduced our access to his Twitter history, that was a criminal act, truly. Truly. Yuna says Zimmer promises to re-immigrate millions of people. Yeah, and I mean, like, if he'll do that, I'm a fan. And we can say, like, other things about him, be like, well, like, okay. But if he's willing to do that, I mean, that's a lot of... He'd win a lot of points with me.
50% team.
I'd be able to overlook a lot of nonsense if he's willing to actually do something long-term that'll help the French people maintain their country. $25K says, it's a private company. They can ban presidents if they want to. Exactly. Now, Mr. Gladius says, I'm not French, but I don't care too much. If it's just a ruse, nothing changes. If he's the real deal, things make it interesting. Yeah, I mean, if he's the real deal, he might be the thin edge of the wedge, right? The tip of the spear for a wider Western political movement to remove these people from our countries. And God, you know, if he did that, which I don't think he will, but if he did that, then we can build statues to him. Like, whatever you might have to say about him otherwise. I mean, we've built statues to a lot worse people. That's for sure. So if he's gonna do that, yeah, maybe he gets some statues. Just something to think about.
Getting more ammo.
Mr. Gladius says, I hope he will do it, and I also hope my country won't take them in afterwards. Yeah, like if he says, like, you're gonna re-immigrate, but they actually don't, they just get shuffled around the West to some other country. That would be a bit of a heartbreak. Bit of a heartbreak. I didn't come in through that, did I? It came in through here, right? Ugh. Oof. Oof. Wow. Zipped up right through that tunnel.
Drop pod arrived. Mule is returning to LZ.
Where the heck?
Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
There we go.
Point done.
Oh yeah, Molly's gonna get here too. I'm gonna... Oh my... Jeez. Jeez Louise. Bosco! Where are you? I'm about to die, Bosco. Bosco. Please. Oh my god. Gets me to nearly dead. Jeez. Thank you, Bosco. Could have been a little bit quicker about it, but thanks anyway. Now, Paul says Zamora is ambiguous about re-immigration. Yeah? I mean, I don't think he'll do it. I don't think he'll get elected and do it. Let's say it that way. One of those two is going to fail. Possibly both. Yuna says 4 or 5 years of rule is not enough for the French or Trump or anyone. They would need to end the republic and make politicians fear their own people instead of waiting elections. North says Trump was doing something right. He rigged out to make the way for all the current nonsense. He was rigged out to make way for all the current nonsense. Life After Death says, can we use the Asian enrichment to our benefit? I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's really nice to go to Asia, right? And you go there and you see them in their own country and what they've built, and you can learn something from that. That being said, I wouldn't want to invite in the biospiritual warfare of mass immigration between our groups, right?
Get ready!
Now, Mr. Gladius says, I can imagine this grotesque timeline where each European country passes each other this horde of people because no one wants to take them in. Yeah, maybe. Hey, Spencer, how's it going? UNETCOM says re-immigrate them? I mean, yeah, re-immigrate them. I mean, they can... They have their own land, right?
But we'll see. You've surprised me before. Eyes on your objectives. Let's get it done.
John Wilkes Base says, I hope I'm wrong, but can imagine any large-scale deportation without tremendous violence. I can imagine it. I mean, you got to keep in mind, in the early 1900s, like the 1920s, the United States deported millions of people back to Mexico. We deported like hundreds of thousands of Indians, hundreds of Indians to India. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese. I mean, we've had mass deportations in the past with, you know, various levels of trouble. Something to think about, too, is, like, you have,
Where is that damn mule?
what's that? Oh, gosh. Swarmageddon. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of these swarmers in this final mission. Take a look at, Arizona. Arizona became a lot less friendly to illegals. And a lot of illegals just left, right? Now, obviously, like, there's the deportation of illegals and then there's the re-immigration of legals. I mean, that's... Let's consider those two separate issues because one's more difficult than the other. If a president took control in the United States who campaigned on the promise of deporting illegals, at least, right? Well, we've already sort of seen their willingness to go back or to leave an area when they know they're not welcome to some degree out of Arizona. Like, many tens of thousands, maybe more, moved out of Arizona once it became less friendly to them, right? And they went to go be illegal somewhere else, like California. Sanctuary state or something, right? People are willing to uproot their lives without being forced to if they're told that things could get hard for them in the future where they're at. I mean, if a president were to take hold of the United States in regards to the illegal problem and just say, hey, if you're still here and illegal in 18 months, you'll be deported, and we have no guarantee that you'll be able to keep your belongings, your possessions, that your family will all be deported on the same day to the same place, right? It could be rough for you. But if you get out in 18 months, you know, you can take belongings that you find valuable, you can make sure that everyone's together, all that stuff. A good, like, I expect the majority of people will do so. And I forget, we'd have to look into it. There was that one incident of mass, sort of like mass immigration like that, in that sort of scenario happening, I believe in Indonesia or something. You have problems between some of those ethnic groups out in Southeast Asia. Some group was told that if they stayed, things would get bad, and then there was just like millions of people that mass immigrated voluntarily to avoid any sort of problems coming up in the next couple years. I forget. We'd have to look into it. We'd have to do some historical reading. But I've been vaguely introduced to that event. I just forget what country it was. Mr. Gladius. Oh, okay. Paul says the political goal of Zemmour is assimilation, right? Yep. So he's a civnat. Yep. He just feels cultural replacement, not racial replacement. Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously we know that's wrong. You know, I have that video. Physiognomy is real. Something to think about with the whole, you know, culture is a product of biology to a large degree, right? And I have, what is it? Genes versus environment, nature versus nurture, that video, where I talk about that. I mean, the evolutionary psychology and behavioral genetics are real fields that matter to the human animal in terms of our behavior and everything. You can't have... There's no way... Well, in terms of the myth of assimilation, you look at my video, Assimilation... No, wait, no. Did I say assimilation is a joke? What did I call that other video? Let me take a look. I know you can't see my screen here. What's that video I made? Whoops. A little bit of my voice there. Yeah, assimilation is a joke. In that video, I talk about how assimilation... I mean, I probably could have laid it out in some better terms, but, like, insofar as we think that some groups have assimilated, it is not the case that different groups became different than they once were, right? It's not like you choose to assimilate. It's either you fit in, or if you don't, you leave, right? So if a bunch of Irishmen assimilate with the Scots, it's the Irishmen who don't like the Scottish way go back to Ireland, right? That's the function of... That's what assimilation really is to a large degree. It's people who don't fit in leave so they're not causing problems. And it's one of those messages where you wish the civnats could understand it. But on some level, when you try to explain it, they will call you a bad person for explaining it. Right? That's the trouble. Because, you know, it's all about moralism, fundamentally. At the end of the day, politics is about morals. It's about religion, it's about morals. Politics is sort of somewhat of a religion, a moral framework for approaching the world, right? The distinction between politics and religion is becoming significant. It is through my life becoming less and less meaningful. Like, what would a separation between politics and religion look like? It just means replacing a traditional religion with a explicitly political religion, but not one associated with a particular organized church or something. Second Hat says, war is a continuation of politics and vice versa. The liberals in America are illegal immigrants as auxiliary in elections and will fight tooth and nail to keep their advantage under the guise of morals. I mean, yeah. Alright. So now I just need Morkite, and then I'm done. Oh my god. Swarmers. Swarmers.
I've got a zip line ready here.
Okay. Interesting cave shape. Probably gonna have to go down here to pick up that Morkite. Ah, screw it. I'll just pop one of these down. Probably could have done it at a different angle. Did I get all that? Wait. Alright. Molly over here.
Time, old lady. I've got all day.
So, Johnny 5K says second and third generation are worse even if their parents could behave culturally right. Yeah, and that's where we could talk about something like regression to the mean, right? Even if a certain group initially fits in, we do expect that their offspring will behave less like extremes and more like the general population. Now, oh my goodness. Let's do this. Do that. Regression to the mean has some elements that we need to understand here for why, even if one group you felt like they got on pretty well for a little bit, they might not get a well on with you after a generation or two. And I need to finish my video. Part of this is numeric courage, right? Numeric courage is a remarkably important concept that I need to finish my stupid video on, because it explains why you would see conflict arise after a while, because it's fundamentally tied to the actual proportions these groups are within a society, right? Like, if you have an ethnic group that immigrates into your land, if you started out with a few families, they can't build a parallel society with 3 families. That's just called breaking the law, right? That's called some weird things that were happening at their house, and you shouldn't be prejudiced by judging them for it, right? That's what that is. It's only once you get thousands of families, tens of thousands of people, that they can start to build up what you call a parallel society. And you would say, like, well, you know, we didn't have these problems before. It's like, well, it was literally impossible for them to happen before. It was like, numerically, that thing that they are doing now can't happen, right? Oh, you grew up in a town that had every race in it, but it was 95% white, and there was no race riots. It's like, yeah, of course there was no race riots. Because, you know, 2 Asian families and the 3 black families in your town can't make a riot. Even if they throw a stink, they can't have a riot. You know, that's 5 families. That's 5 fathers, 5 mothers, and a gaggle of kids. They can't riot anything. It's a matter of numbers, right? So if you were to... You can't take a lack of conflict in the past as proof of future harmony. And that's something I really want to get through in my video on numeric courage, which I've been putting off forever, right? I've been, well, not putting off, somewhat putting off, somewhat doing and then redoing and then putting off. A lot of things have happened. Now, Mr. Gladius says, you can compare the first families of immigrants as the vanguards for the real army. No, I don't think you can. You really can't. And that's what numeric courage is about. Like, let's say, you know, you understand biospirit, right? Let's say their biospirit in some way disagrees with yours. Well, they might not think in those terms. They're just thinking, okay, well, everyone around me, all my coworkers, my boss, everyone who I know thinks this way. And I don't really think that way, but, you know, everyone in the world agrees, so I'm just going to have to go along with it. So they're got to sort of, they might find it fairly natural and not that big a deal to suppress their own sort of innate tendencies, their own biospirit, right? But once they've got a lot of ethnic kin around them, they say, like, yeah, I don't really like this. And then their kin says, well, I don't like that either. And then they go to their other kin, and they're like, yeah, I hate that. And then they're like, wait a second. Why are we putting up with this nonsense? We should be able to change this world if we feel that it's inappropriate or bad or wrong or whatever. You know? Like, none of us like this. Why should we have to put up with it? That conversation doesn't happen when you're the only person in the room who feels some way, right? So the Vanguard will not feel nearly as aggressive or hostile or even that disagreeable compared to what eventually happens when numeric courage takes place, right? When numeric courage takes place, you know, people feel the right to assert their own biospirit in ways that they wouldn't have before, right? And again, if you can't misunderstand a lack of biospiritual conflict as the belief that there will be biospiritual harmony in the long run. Come on, Morkite. Get out of here. Oh, that's not the thing. Okay, okay. That's the last bit. Then we can go. Oh.
I killed the loot bug, and I'm not so for rock and stone.
Hey.
Go, get to one.
Bosco just stopped working. Can't do that.
All necessary Morkite collected. Objective completed. All objectives completed. Hit the button on the mule when you're ready, and we'll pick you up. A swarm is heading your way. Load up.
No. Swarm, we're leaving. Mr. Gladius says they don't put up with our laws even when there's just one or two in Italy. Well, that's partly just, like, the current problem where, like, you know, if you're a white officer, do you really want to be called racist for enforcing the law? Do you want to potentially lose your job? You know, that's a newer paradigm that may not be true historically in every area and may not be true in the future at times. But when you go into the things that I'm trying to go into, like I'm gonna do something stupid here and try and go through the wall. When you're trying to get into sort of like timeless concepts that will be true for centuries, like numeric courage, that sort of stuff needs to sort of... Okay. Stop biting me through the floor. I mean, that's very much a modern thing. And it might not always be true. Come on, you. Let me through this gap in the thing.
Keep fighting, team. You're almost through the wave.
Get out of here, Trija. So things that fly and shoot you, they can knock you off these zip lines. They're pretty scary.
Shield charged and ready.
John says, I don't know, Hannity tells me we all want the same things. Hannity is such a goofball. And this is why I need to make the video, right? I mean, like, people believe this nonsense, and they really need the guidance. I wrote a video on numeric courage, and I came to the conclusion, you know, when we talked about our stuff about conditional hypotheticals and various linguistic constructs being difficult for people to understand, especially people depending on their sort of IQ and their level of cognitive development, came to the conclusion that my script was ridiculously complex, right? It relied upon a lot of mapping, right? Multiple hypotheticals to real-world things. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. No one was going to get it. Like, some of you smart guys were going to get it. Some of you okay guys were even going to be like, gosh, this was a real convoluted, complicated way to talk about a subject. Right? So I'm like, I need to do better. And I started writing better, and then I put things off. So I gotta work on the numeric courage concept. Has a remarkable amount of explanatory value, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our guys, good guys, still don't quite understand how important and influential of a concept it is, and how it can help you understand and explain the past in the West, and why things have gone the way they've gone with various ethnies, right? So I need to make the video. Really bad. I need to make it. Life After Death says you need to do a response to Now Land Knows. About what exactly? Let's see here. Mr. Gladius says, my only hope is that getting spoiled will make invaders fat pigs too, and as such weak. Could you imagine that? Imagine actual invaders coming into your land, and like they land on the shores in Rhode Island or whatever, and before they get to Michigan they're all obese. Walking around with a McDonald's bag. Who was that Russian guy who protested? Was that a real thing? Or was that fake news? Russian chain self to McDonald's? Was that real? Let me take a look at this. Luca, son of artist, handcuffed himself to the entrance of McDonald's. They don't speak Russian? Russian man chains himself to McDonald's to stop it from closing. God, look at my screen's just ads. You see this? You know, Newsweek has got their own sort of logo. Norton, mix and match, built for America, blah blah blah. I mean, got this thing here. Oh, you got a more ad in the corner. This is like Idiocracy. I'm trying to watch all my balls. Trying to watch all my balls, and it's nothing but ads.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome here.
Oh, man. Una says, Russia has General Winter. America has General Ronald McDonald. General Ronald. Ando says, I can't use the internet without uBlock. Second Hat says, why don't you use AdBlock? 95K says, why you got ads? Well, I guess I gotta put an ad blocker or something on there. Jeez. Mr. Gladius says, the more I see these things, and the more I ask, how can a man reduce himself like that? I mean, you know, let's type in. Oops. I want to find a picture. I want to find some really high quality pictures of Michelangelo's David. Can we bring that up? What is this? Wait, to click, 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 boom. You know, it's like, can you believe? Why is his face is a different color? I like the really, he's got especially big hands for his size, doesn't he? That's part of the thing. Look at that. Look at those veins on the hands. I mean, that's it. It doesn't even look like stone. Some of the work that these sculptors have done. Can you imagine that the man you saw chained to the McDonald's is the same beast, the same animal as this, or what this depicts, right? Look at that. Now that's spectacular. Same. Where is it? No. Oh god, all the ads are gonna come. Wait, images. Oh, wait. Gotta go back. I want this one. Save that. Save this. Gotta save both of these. I need a side by side. Side by side. We're gonna do it in, I guess, Paint. Paint.net? We'll do it in Paint.net. Boom, boom. Open those two. I know you can't see it yet. You're gonna see it soon. Crop that. Oh my gosh. We'll do... Oh wait, no. Grab this. Crop this. You'll be seeing it shortly. Oh no. Span that. Oh god. These images are such different sizes. That's fine. We'll get it here in a second. Squeeze that down. And what's important is, like, I'm about to show you at any moment here. Once I crop this final crop, and then... Oh, you know, I'll just save the image and put it right in the thing. Give me 2 seconds. PNG comparison. We'll save it as comparison. And then we'll add it into the streaming software. Well, comparison, we'll call it. Under this. Boom. It's like art. Wow. I mean, I just want you to imagine if that guy on the left had lived a significantly different life. I mean, he couldn't be Michelangelo's David because David is a sculpture. And J. David has, like, the exaggerated hands and whatnot. But that guy on the left, maybe, could look like Michelangelo's David if he lived a totally different life. But he could. He could have. He could have been that. He could have been David. On some level. But now he's chained to a McDonald's. He's handcuffed himself to the door of a Russian McDonald's. Yuna says, the man chained to the McDonald's is simply a Dionysus worshiper. Sark says, there's not enough material to make a sculpture of him. Ando says the guy on the left doesn't even need the leaf to hide his... You know what? Yuna says, a man gotta enjoy things, sometimes religiously. Yeah, this guy? With the McDonald's, you mean? Is that his house of worship? McDonald's? Ronald? Hallowed be thy name? Life After Death says people who abandon political liberalism more readily than philosophical naturalism. Johnny 5K says, you know, this Michelangelo's David is nice and everything, but taping a banana to the wall is almost as amazing. Exactly. Ando says 10 years later, oh my gosh, this would be a great ad. You know, it's like, be like, this guy went from this to this in 10 years? Click here to find out how. Order our diet plan. Spencer says he's a little fat himself, but what he did is sad and depressing. Yeah, I mean, it's awful. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people who are overweight simply wouldn't be if our society was not quite the way it was. I wish we could really do something about some of this, but at the moment, we're chaining ourselves to McDonald's. Nero says, you might not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like, or peak male physique. I don't understand what you're saying, Life After Death. Oh, okay. So Life After Death is saying that Nowlin Knows made a video saying the right abandons philosophical liberalism and we lack spiritual framework to transcend it and we idolize genetics. That's what he's saying? Something like that? I mean, who is this guy? Like, what's his perspective? Because remember, I can't make any sort of political response to leftists, because then they'll just bring in their audience to mass flag your videos, right? Anytime I've ever had any interaction with the left on YouTube and whatnot, the video just gets taken down, right? Because the left have there's no intellectual curiosity or wanting to, like, engage with your ideas. They want you crushed. They want you gone, right? So you just get rid of them. They just do what they do to get rid of you. There's nothing to talk about with leftists, because they'll just try and hurt you if they could, right? Now, in the digital age, that means, you know, remove your accounts, remove your content, blah blah blah. Second Hat says, remember the food pyramid made America obese in 3 decades? Food pyramid was bad. It wasn't the only thing making us obese, for sure, though. Food pyramids incorrect. I mean, you have all sorts of other things that have been happening at the same time. Let's keep in mind Bliss Point Engineering. Bliss Point Engineering. Bang, bam, ba-da-bum. Ba-da-do. Okay, so you have how much people like a food, how much they enjoy it, and then you have the sweetness concentration at the bottom. And as you make it sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, people just enjoy the food more. But then it gets too sweet and they enjoy it less. So what you're doing is trying to engineer a bliss point. You know, when food companies make manufactured food products, they generally add sugar, add sugar, add sugar until they find the bliss point, right? Or corn syrup, any sort of sweet thing, right? Honey, maple syrup, whatever. You just keep adding it until you find the bliss point of, like, maximum palatability. And this is why, like, I hate, like, barbecue competitions and barbecue sauce. Ugh, God, it's all super sweet. The barbecue you get at barbecue competitions, they will take... Okay, well, keep in mind, let's pull up... I'm going to pull up paint here, right? We're going to pull up the regular paint. Oh, here we go. So you have in an apple, right? You have a fiber structure. So here's the fiber structure. And then you have water. And we'll do, grab that, select, transparent. Probably should have made these bigger. Fiber structure and water. Fiber structure, water. This makes up a lot of it, right? And then you have sugar, which will represent with some T's, right? This is applicable to most fruit, right? But apple's a good example. So when you juice an apple, you remove the fiber structure, right? And you end up with sugar water to a large degree. Now that sugar water might contain trace minerals, certain vitamins. It's not like a super micronutrient dense food, right? So you take out the fiber structure and you're just left with water and sugar. Well, at the barbecue competitions, they will take apple juice, which is sugar water, and dab it all over with a big mop on their food. And in the cookers, the water evaporates. So if there's 3 major components to an apple, water, sugar, and fiber, and some factory took away the fiber at the apple juice factory, and then the cooking process removes all the water, all they're doing is, every time they dab it with the mop full of apple juice, they're just adding sugar. Winners of real-life barbecue competitions are excellent on-the-fly Bliss Point engineers, right? On-the-fly Bliss Point engineers. They're on the fly trying to get the sugar content of the food high enough without going too high. So the winner of the competition has to not overcook their meat, and they have to use the right smokes, and there's a lot of things they have to do. But if you really want to win, you also need to make sure you made it sweet enough without making it too sweet. And I'm tired of all this Bliss Point engineered food. I'm tired of all this sugar-laden food. It's really not helping us. Sark says, that sounds like the experiment you talked about where the gobbledygook was attributed to either a scientist or a spiritual leader. Yeah, you're talking about the thing Life After Death was saying about that video? Yeah, that's what I got from it too. I hear a lot of words. I hate these people. Sorry, I don't hate these people. A lot of the isms that people use, I'm not happy with those isms. I'm not happy with these, like, bundles of ideas they use as mechanisms to sort of speed up thoughts and speed up conversations by taking bundles of ideas. Like, it's a really useful shortcut tool that I think leads to a lot of, like, cognitive errors, right? Unatcom says, all American bread is full of sugar. He's glad to be French. Hashtag big baguette energy. I mean, not all American bread is full of sugar, but certainly maybe the more processed stuff. Second Hat says, remember seeing a video way back when someone painted the Mona Lisa in paint? Yeah, didn't there used to be on YouTube like 10 years ago videos like making the Mona Lisa in paint? Like those were pretty popular. Ando says, I feel the need for sugar sometimes. Yeah, well, that's addictive, dude. Sugar's addictive. John says, I have a terrible sweet tooth. Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, why? Why do you have a sweet tooth? The reason you have a sweet tooth is because your genetic ancestors lived in an environment where when you got something sweet, it was really great. You would want to eat it, and as much of it as you could, because you probably wouldn't get any more of it for a long time. You know, you'd have, like, let's say you were in Scandinavia and, I don't know, cloudberries or whatever were in season, and you had, like, that week to eat as many as many of them as you could find, because they're gone the other 51 weeks of the year. Like, imagine if donut shops are open for 1 week of the year, and then other than that, all we had was, like, whatever you might think of as diet food. Right? I mean, imagine if, like, we all had to eat healthy all year, but right before winter came, a bunch of fruit, like apples and pears, came into season. And we'd all gain, like, 15 pounds. We'd all gain, like, 15 pounds before the winter, and then you'd lose it over the other 50 weeks of the year. Unatcom recommends doing drugs to avoid sugar. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Mr. Gladius says, because of his chemo, he can't touch alcohol nor sweets. Even some meats can't be eaten. These months have forged me more than my diets have ever done. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got someone in my family just starting on that sort of stuff recently. Chemo. Unatcom says, food tip, move to the countryside with no car? I mean, sure. I'm a big walker. You know, I like walking. I feel like walking is just an enjoyable activity. I like to get out there and I like to walk. I like to, you know, it's nice. And that's, you know, I've talked to you guys about it. That's why I ended up playing Pokemon Go, because it's a walking game. Like, if you walk 12 kilometers, you can hatch an egg and get a Pokemon. It's like, you know, I try and get in a lot of walking. If you walk 100 kilometers in a week, you get the biggest bonuses.
Orbital insertion sequence initiated. Board the drop pod.
Oh, so Second Hat says he legitimately believes humans are in the process of domesticating themselves and are not selecting for the best traits. Yes, I mean, obviously, natural selection always is happening, right? Evolution is happening. And the traits that are being selected for now are probably, you know, like, they're gonna have consequences, and we might not be happy with all these consequences in the future. But I mean, we can't even talk about that now. I mean, there's a lot of other issues gotta talk about first, and you even start to say anything like that, people are like, oh, you know, they're gonna you know, you got that instinctively calling you out on, because again, everything's about morals, right? Everything's about moralism and morals, and like eugenics is totally out of favor, right? Second Hat says the Pokemon Go thing wasn't a joke. No, it's not a joke. There's going to be a big Team Rocket event tomorrow. So a really big Sunday walking day for people who play Pokemon Go. Woo! Okay, put this here. Might have to put it out somewhere there. Okay, get out of here, you. Okay. Bosco, I don't actually want to go down here. So you go down there. Spencer says, I know mobile games are really popular in Japan because they play games going from work or school. Yeah, well, and the internet connectivity on phones has been stellar in Japan for such a long time. I mean, remember, Japan is a country that's like roughly the size of California. Only 90% of it is like very mountainous. So most of the population is only on 10% of the size of California. And their population's way bigger than California. What are they at now? Like 130 million people or something. Oh god. I gotta make sure I don't fall. Okay, there we go. So they've been able to invest in sort of like wireless connectivity in ways that no other country was. You know, long before smartphones. What were they using? Because I think a lot of them are using smartphones now, but they had their own thing. Maybe Keitai? Keitai is those foldable phones that they had their email on and everything, and web browsers, when a lot of the rest of the world was just on, you know, Nokias at best, or just no cell phone at all. Children walking around with Keitai. And yeah, mobile games are big there. Like, if you... A lot of Pokemon Go players are in Japan, for sure. Japan, the United States, and Europe are like the big places, really. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect. If you can make friends in there from across the world, and you send each other gifts or whatnot, you invite each other to raids. I mean, all the raid invites I've ever got are either from the United States, Japan, or Europe. Nero says he likes to hang out with friends. We walk around 12 to 16 kilometers. Look at architecture and discuss things. That's a big walk with friends. A lot of people don't like to walk that much, I find. A lot. In my life, I've seen that, like, what people consider walking distance appears to be getting shorter and shorter. You know, I've seen people... I remember there was this girl on the phone or whatever, calling her parents. She was crying, come pick her up. And when I say girl, I mean, she's like, I don't know, 25. And given the conversation she was having with her parents, when she described where she was and where, I don't know, there was something that told me about where she lived, right? In this conversation. And I deduced that she basically lived like a mile and a half down the road. A mile and a half would be about 2 kilometers. And I'm like, geez, 25-year-olds. Like, and then something like, oh, her mom was gonna get off work in a half hour and come get her. I'm like, oh my god. Your mom's not gonna even leave work for a half hour, and then she's gonna come get you. So you don't have to walk a mile and a half. Jeez, people. People need help. These people need Pokemon Go. They need to go on a walk. Mile and a half. I mean, you could be home before your mom gets off work if you were to just walk.
Follow me. one.
So, oh my goodness.
Watch out! Whack-a-mole!
Let's see. Let's take a look at chat here. Any second hat says anyone got any good hobbies? Well, I play Pokemon Go. It's my hobby. My main is like been my main hobby for a little bit now. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me scroll up in chat here. Sark says I have to stand at work all week, so a little walking on my free time for me or I'll have achy feet at work. Yeah.
Go! Get to one! Be gone!
Oh, I blew up the vine.
Never felt better.
It kept trying to touch me while I was fighting bugs. Paul says, better food on the countryside. And you eat less. I noticed have to eat less to be full. Maybe it's just me. Well, I mean, definitely, some places their food is more wholesome, ultimately. And, does help to eat the better food. Not the hyper-processed, hyper-palatable food. That being said, you can... I mean, people are very fat everywhere, right? Plenty of fat people in the countryside, so it's like they have access to the nasty stuff, and they can adopt the bad lifestyles. Life After Death says, as a Christian, does it make me a parentheses materialistic bad to focus on race at all? I mean,
Come here!
I would say no. Second Hat says, I think I will pirate... Oh, well. So Second Hat... Jeez. Oop. Get that. He's gonna get the next Dragon Age when it comes out. It's probably gonna be awful. I didn't even know they were coming out with one. But... Ugh. Dragon Age Origins...
This feels funny.
To go from Dragon Age Origins to Dragon Age 2 was one of the biggest downgrades in gaming history.
You're my bestest friend. Friendly wildlife must be a trap.
Friendly wildlife must be a trap. Knat says, people from my workplace almost daily consume French fries because it's part of the majority of the meals served by the mini restaurant. Yeah. Nero says, Pokemon Go walk. Yeah, like go walk. Yeah, well, that's the basic idea. And so recently they've been doing some changes in the game. Like, they had some things implemented in the game because so many countries are under COVID restrictions. So, for example, you could use incense to attract Pokemon to you. And you get one Pokemon every minute, which is a decent amount, in addition to the wild spawns that sort of pop up. And you could kind of just play it sitting down, going nowhere. Well, they recently nerfed the heck out of that. So now it's one every 5 minutes if you're sitting still, but you get them one every 30 seconds if you're walking. So it's like, hey, go walk. Get out of the house and go walk. So, like, you know, a lot of, like, people are complaining about ableism and whatnot because the company is basically saying, hey, this is a game where you go outside and you walk around and you meet people and you group up and you do stuff. And if you don't do that, and if you want to try playing it at home, it's going to get harder and harder and harder because we're going to make there's going to be no rewards for just sitting in one place. Right? Or, like, worse rewards. Yuna says, I walk around 1 hour a day, live near the forest, hills, way better than my 10 years in Paris. Okay, I should be having Bosco get my A-Quark so I can finish this mission. Bosco,
Swarm, they're here.
get that A-Quark over there. I don't think I'm going to do any Nitra or any secondary. I'm just going to do the things and go. John says, do you guys know people who circle around a parking lot to get 70 feet closer? Yes. I hate that. What a pointless exercise.
What's that smell? All right.
Just so you can, like, sneak in next to the other people who desperately want to be close to the front and they can ding your doors, right? A lot of times I'll just park at the first spot I see open. You know, if it's somewhat busy, I'll just park the first spot I see open. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll have someone in the car with me, and they'll be like, oh, well, look, there's probably a spot up closer than this. It's like, bro, I already pulled in the spot. Like, it would take longer for me to pull out, find a spot, and then go in there than it would if we just got out of the car and we went to the store or whatever we're going to. Like, geez, the petty stuff that some people feel really invested in about, like, their parking spot. Like, my god. Now, I get when you're in, like, the big city and parking spots are actually, like, hard to come by any spot at all. Ugh. Yeah, then it's annoying. Then it's like, you feel protective of a spot or something, but, like, when you're in a parking lot of hundreds of spots and, like, I don't know, you're fighting for one that's 10 feet closer to the door. Who cares? It's just goofy stuff, man. People think they're going on a walk by walking out of their house and to their car. It's like, well, I went on a walk. Did you do anything physical today? Well, you know, I went grocery shopping. Dude, shopping for more food to stuff in your mouth isn't really a physical activity. Not meaningfully. Johnny5K says Dragon Age 2 felt like they didn't have the money to finish it. I feel like they didn't have the brains to make it any good. When I played it, I mean, certainly some of it did feel weird in terms of, like, the narrative structure, and is like, is this really what they intended? But most of it was just so awful. And I don't know why they went from one of the best dialogue systems to, like, one of the most miserable. It's like Mass Effect, only worse. Oh, jeez. Nero says he would get mega mugged if you played too much Pokemon Go here. Yeah, well, don't play Pokemon Go where, you know, go to the nice white area. Jessica says gaming stream. Exactly. Life After Death says beautiful day out where they are. Grass green, sky is blue. Jessica, I gotta catch up on these chats. Jessica says, always park at the very back of the parking lot. It's nice to walk out and use your legs. It's also nice when, you know, people aren't going to ding your door, you know. And, you know, you're not going to have, like, anyone parking too close to your car and making it annoying to get into, or let's say you got stuff to load into it. Just... I mean, I'm just continuing... When it comes to the people actually, like, arguing about... Let's say you're driving someone, and then you want to park, and they're like, oh, you gotta find a place closer than this. It's like, do you really want to argue about something so petty? How many extra steps is this really gonna be? And why do you need to save those steps? Are you dying of hunger? Is it like, are you in a position where you need to take fewer steps? Because most people probably could use a few extra steps. I probably should have parked down the whole street. Been nowhere close. Oh.
Get behind something.
There goes my last grenade.
Pod inbound. Stand clear.
Where's the pod coming down to? Okay. Normal spot.
So long, suckers!
Hmm.
Shield!
Here we go.
Drop pod arrived.
We're out of here. Where the heck's the door? Oh, it's on this
Drop
side.
pod departing in T-minus 3 minutes. Extraction commencing. Good work.
Spencer says he's lifted an 80-pound box of kitty litter. That's a pretty heavy box. I mean, 80 pounds, that's what I expect for a bag of concrete. They got those 80-pound bags, the 90-pound bags, and 100-pound bags, I think. Depends on the brand and where you buy them, but... KNet says, my first Dragon Age experience was the second one. Needless to say, didn't look at any Dragon Age game again for years. Yeah, and for me and Krogan on my very first Wednesday stream, we did Dragon Age Origins, right? Then we did Dragon Age 2 much later, right? And Dragon Age Origins, I felt like had a lot going for it. You know, I told my friends at the time, when Dragon Age 2 was announced, I'm like, guys, you gotta be watching for this one. You gotta be, you know, you just watch and wait for this Dragon Age 2 to come out, because it could be great. The first one was great. I really liked it. Man, what a disappointment. One of the biggest disappointments of my young gaming life. That and Lineage 2. Anyone ever play Lineage 2? That one was rough. Okay, I might be able to do something super fast here. What's super fast? Oh gosh. Oof, oof. I bet I could do solo, has 3, on Driller, blitz. Absolute blitz this. Fastest ever. Scout, Driller. So tomorrow, by the way, I'll probably play Deep Rock Galactic again, but if you want to play with me, you can play, right? That's what I'm planning on my Sunday streams. I'm planning on, like, hey, if you want to play, we'll play together, we'll get the people in the here, we'll do the party group chat. Well, party play. So. Nero's, or Life After Death says, where I live, you can't park far from the store unless you want your car broke into. Well, yeah, there's a lot of nice, healthy things about society that might not exist for some of us right now because of other problems in society. I was recently looking at an article on countercurrents. What was it? Confessions of a Mall Rat or something? I don't know if you guys have... It's Richard Hoke or something? American Krogman told me about this guy, and I might reach out to him about a stream where we talk about the American Mall, right? Maybe he won't want to do it, but we might talk about sort of the mall and why malls came about in the United States the way they did and why they're on their way out. And he does a pretty good job in his article sort of dismissing the idea that it's like, oh, malls died because of online purchasing, right? That's not why they died. I mean, that's just, it's not true. But and he talked a little bit about why some malls are still doing well and the factors in it, and definitely you know, some of the things that we talk about in terms of like demographics is a big part of that, but not the only thing. He's got other reasons why some do well or do poorly. And I really wanted to talk to him maybe at some point about the American Mall, right? I feel like that could be a pretty entertaining stream for those of you who, like, if you grew up in the United States when malls were popular, right? You might not exactly know why the mall was fun. Maybe, I mean, I think a lot of people maybe do instinctively somehow, but, you know, like, have you ever, like, intellectualized that? Have you ever, like, really analyzed that? Probably not. I don't think most people have. But I think it could be a fun thing to do.
Wonder what slop they're serving in the canteen tonight.
Second Hat says, are you planning to go through Dragon Age Inquisition? I am not necessarily planning on it. I was thinking about doing that free Life is Strange episode 1 for the next Wednesday streams. And see what that's about. Oh my gosh, this cave is an interesting... Okay, so this just loops around. And then you got the dirt here. Oh, I already got rid of all my C4. That's fine. Yeah, and I mean, he talked, one of the things that I thought was very important is, like, it's sort of like a stereotype or whatever, but probably kind of true. You know, you think of, even like the 90s or the 80s, the mall board games. He doesn't mention this, but, like, you remember the mall board games, like, oh, we're going to the mall or something. Like, it's almost like the mystery date board games and whatnot. I mean, they were really targeted at girls, right? Little girls, and there's an association between young women and the mall. To a large degree, young women could go to a mall, and while they could shop, which is something a lot of people like to do, but maybe more women, but also just like hang out with your girlfriends and feel fairly safe and secure. And women, some of the malls that have failed the hardest are ones where women couldn't feel safe and secure anymore, right? Like, young girls, young white girls were concerned that they would get harassed or something would happen to them if they would go to the mall, so they don't go there anymore, right? It becomes sort of a scary place. Oh no, the breeder. Oh jeez. Get rid of this, and all his babies, her babies, its babies.
I need the damn minecart on legs. Where is it?
But yeah, I feel like if I could do a stream with that guy, I feel like we could have some fairly interesting, nuanced discussion. I think when some people read what he's saying about, like, malls and 7-Elevens, they will accuse him of sort of defending a degenerate or sort of deracinated world state. And I feel like there's a sort of nuance to that discussion that we could actually tease out without just being, I don't know, angry. Life After Death says, is crime the reason why the U.S. is centered around cars and roads instead of walking? That's part of it, for sure. Like, the push to the suburbs has been, like, urban crime to some degree. I don't think that's all it. I mean, like, the car as a force that has reshaped the way we've designed cities is its own thing, right? It's its own thing, and that actually goes into why malls were made in the first place. Like, malls, in part, were designed to be a replacement for the urban center that used to exist prior to the car. Prior to your downtown area being redesigned for cars, you had something like that which we made into the mall, right? So on some level, people recognized that there was a genuine loss to the urban lifestyle when it was completely redesigned for the car. There was a breaking up of the communities. There was, you know, all sorts of anti-pedestrian and sort of anti-living your life aspects to everything that got redesigned for the car. So they tried to say, okay, well, now that everyone's using a car and the car is the thing, let's create that walking community urban center that you drive to. And they created the mall. So it was like an attempt to recapture which was once lost. I don't think that was ever going to be truly successful, like, but it was a good and honest attempt in some ways to, like, provide a future generation something that they were missing out due to the destruction of the urban center via the redesign for the car. That being said, part of what has, you know, you've heard about maybe the new urbanism movement and trying to bring back some of what the community aspect to urban centers used to have. I mean, like, some of that ultimately can't happen because of the demographic change associated with those urban centers. See what I'm saying?
Good work. We're pulling you back in.
Spencer says... let's see here. Where is this? Spencer says, I remember seeing something that 80% of all shopping is done by women. Yeah. I mean, even today, that's just very, very common. Okay. Well. Yeah, that's true. You know, they say that if you're a virgin all the way until you're 40, you become a wizard. It's not actually true. I don't think you actually become a wizard at 40. Alright. Well, that's about it for today. If you want to play with me, tomorrow... Okay, so when you're in the game, right? Come to your assignment board, select an assignment. I could have selected an assignment. You know, come in here, click on it, start your assignment. When you're... Whoever's in the party with me, I'll click on the map. I'll look at what we're assigned, and I'll probably do one of our assignments. You know, I'll do like someone's assignment is probably what we'll run. Unless I look at all the assignments and I hate them. Then we might do something else. Eventually, if everyone in my party has promoted, we might actually do deep dives together. Like what I just did today. But that's about it. Earlier in the stream, we talked about... oh gosh, we talked all about fertilizer and stuff. You remember that? Maybe some of you missed that. Earlier in the stream, we talked a lot about retail fertilizer costs. I mean, there's a very real chance that food prices could go up this year, going up to this winter. I don't think we're gonna see 10 times food prices or anything like that. I don't think it makes sense for you to go buy a pallet of non-perishable foods to, like, try and resell it, you know, or anything like that. But what will make sense for your family is whoever does the shopping, keep on the lookout for sales on things your family likes, especially non-perishables, canned tuna, right? And be well stocked, right? Like, if you have a pantry, might as well fill it. If you have cupboards and a pantry, and you have some foods that you like that hold well for a long time, months or even years, probably could get a lot of that when it's on sale over the next few weeks. Because you're probably going to be able to get it cheaper now than you will anytime in the next 12 months. Right? So, why not get it? Jesus. Gladius says the dilemma is when you have your GF at home but embargo is streaming. Well, then that's when you watch together. Brings you closer. All right. You guys are getting into some weird stuff in the chat. You know your guys are going to hell, right? You know who I'm talking to, not all of you. What is this? Ando. Yeah, you're going to hell for that, Ando. Okay. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco.